Nobody wakes up and decides to sabotage their finances. Nobody sits down on a Sunday morning and thinks, you know what? I am going to make sure I am still broke in 5 years. It does not work like that. The habits that destroy financial progress are not dramatic. They are not obvious. They do not look like mistakes when they are happening. They look like scrolling, like avoiding, like treating yourself after a hard week, like putting off a conversation until next month. They are quiet, they are normal, and they are costing you far more than any single bad financial decision ever could, because they happen every day, not once. This video is about 5 of them, and I want you to watch it like you are watching a video about someone else. Because the moment you recognize yourself in one of these, that recognition alone is worth everything. Let me tell you about Leo. Leo is 31. He earns a decent income. He is smart. He reads about personal finance occasionally. He genuinely wants to get his money right, but something keeps happening. He opens his banking app most mornings, but only when he suspects things are fine. On weeks when he knows he is overspent, he does not open it. He tells himself he will sort it out next payday. He calls it not stressing about money. What it actually is financial avoidance. And every week he avoids, the problem compounds quietly without him watching. He has 3 savings goals he set up last January. He has not looked at them since March. Not because he does not care, because checking on them and seeing no progress feels worse than not knowing. He follows a lot of people on social media whose lifestyle looks significantly more expensive than his. He does not think it affects his spending. It does. Subtly, consistently, in the form of purchases that are not really about the item itself, but about closing a gap between his life and the one he is watching. His friend group text sometimes fills with photos from trips, restaurants, and events. Leo shows up to most of them, not because he can comfortably afford to, but because saying no feels like admitting something he is not ready to admit. He has been meaning to review his direct debits, look at his pension contribution, and call his bank about a charge he does not recognize on his statement. For 4 months. Leo does not have a spending problem. He does not have an income problem. He has a habit problem. And the habits are so embedded in his daily life that they feel like personality rather than behavior. They are not. Behavior can change. Here are the 5 habits quietly destroying Leo's financial progress, and probably some of yours. Habit 1, financial avoidance. The most expensive thing you are not doing. Financial avoidance is the habit of not looking at your money situation, because looking at it feels bad. It shows up as not opening the banking app on a difficult week, not checking the credit card statement until you have to, leaving voicemails from your bank unreturned, skipping the budget review you said you would do on Sunday. It feels like stress management, like protecting your peace. It is the opposite. Here is why. Financial problems do not pause while you look away. Interest compounds. Direct debits process. Fees accumulate. The overdraft grows. The issue you are avoiding does not wait patiently for you to feel ready to deal with it. And there is a psychological cost beyond the financial one. Research in behavioral finance consistently shows that financial avoidance creates a background hum of anxiety that is actually more draining than confronting the problem directly. The avoidance does not eliminate the stress. It just converts it from a manageable, acute problem into a chronic, low-grade weight that follows you everywhere. People who look at their money regularly, even when the numbers are uncomfortable, report lower financial anxiety than people who avoid, not because their numbers are better, because knowing is less exhausting than not knowing. The fix is a weekly money date, 10 minutes, every week, same day. You open your accounts, look at the numbers, note what happened, and close it. No judgment. No action required beyond awareness. Awareness is the foundation of every financial improvement. You cannot improve what you refuse to look at. Habit 2. Comparison spending. buying things for an audience that is not watching. This is the habit of spending money to close a gap between your real life and the curated version of other people's lives you see on your phone. And before you say that is not you, the research says it probably is. A 2023 study by the National Endowment for Financial Education found that over 70% of people reported making at least one purchase influenced by what they saw others doing on social media. Not a purchase they regretted necessarily, a purchase they would likely not have made without the social comparison trigger. Comparison spending does not always look like buying something because you saw it on Instagram. Sometimes it looks like upgrading something you were happy with because someone in your circle upgraded theirs. Sometimes it looks like attending events you cannot afford because the photos from the ones you missed made you feel left out. Sometimes it looks like buying something not for the thing itself, but for the story it lets you tell about your life. The trap is that comparison spending never resolves the feeling it is trying to address. The gap does not close, because the people you are comparing to are also comparing to someone else. The scroll is infinite. The gap is designed to stay open. Every purchase made to close that gap is a purchase that cost you real money in exchange for a feeling that lasted until the next scroll. The fix is not deleting social media necessarily. It is a 24-hour rule on any non-essential purchase above a threshold you set, $50, $100, whatever your budget warrants. If after 24 hours you still want it because you actually want it, not because you saw someone else with it, buy it without guilt. Most of the time, the urge has simply passed. Habit 3. Mental accounting. Treating the same money differently based on where it came from. This is one of the most studied and least discussed financial habits in personal finance, and it costs people thousands every year. Mental accounting is the habit of categorizing money differently based on its source, and then spending it differently as a result. The most classic example is the tax refund. Money earned through 12 months of work is carefully budgeted, but a tax refund, which is the exact same money returned, gets treated as found money, as a bonus, as something to spend freely because it feels different from the salary that had rules attached to it. Bonuses get spent more freely than salary. Gifts get spent differently than savings. Gambling winnings, even small ones, get spent with less care than money worked for. The psychological mechanism is well documented. We file money into mental categories and apply different rules to each category. But money is money. A dollar earned and a dollar refunded have identical purchasing power and identical investment potential. The mental category it arrived in does not change what it could become. Ask yourself honestly. Have you ever received money that felt like a windfall and spent it in a way you never would have spent money you worked for directly? That is mental accounting, and it has likely cost you more than you have ever calculated. The fix is a simple rule. Every incoming dollar, salary, bonus, refund, gift, side income, goes through the same system before it goes anywhere else. The same percentages, the same priorities, the same automation. No category of money gets different rules just because it arrived differently. Habit 4. Treating financial chaos as a fixed personality trait. This is the most insidious habit on the list because it is disguised as self-awareness. It sounds like, I am just bad with money. Numbers are not my thing. I have always been like this. I can earn it, but I cannot keep it. That is just me. These statements feel like honest self-knowledge. They are actually something more damaging. They are permission slips. They convert a behavior, which can change, into an identity, which feels permanent. When being bad with money becomes part of who you are rather than something you currently do, there is no motivation to change. Because you cannot change who you are, you can only change what you do. The research on financial self-efficacy, a person's belief in their own ability to manage money, consistently shows that people who describe themselves as bad with money make worse financial decisions not because of lower intelligence or lower income, but because the self-description creates a self-fulfilling expectation. You expect to fail at money, so you do not try as hard. So you do fail, which confirms the belief, which reduces the effort further. Leo says he has always been bad with money. He has been saying it for 6 years, and as long as he keeps saying it, it will keep being true. Not because it is fixed, but because the label is doing real work in maintaining the behavior. The fix is changing the language. Not pretending, not toxic positivity, just accuracy. Instead of, I am bad with money, I am currently working on my money habits. Instead of, I have always been like this. This is how I have operated so far. The shift is small. The implication is enormous. One closes the door, the other leaves it open. Habit 5, postponement paralysis on small financial admin. This is the habit of perpetually deferring small financial tasks that take less than 30 minutes but carry disproportionate financial consequences. The pension you have not enrolled in, the direct debit to a service you canceled 6 months ago that is still processing, the insurance renewal you accepted by default without comparing alternatives, the unknown charge on your statement you have been meaning to query for 3 months, the higher savings rate account you read about once and meant to move your money to. None of these tasks feel urgent. None of them feel like emergencies. Each one on its own seems like something you can handle later. But in aggregate, financial admin paralysis costs people significantly every year. The uncancelled direct debit charges $12 a month until it is caught, $144 before you notice. The default insurance renewal costs $200 to $400 more than the comparison market rate would have. The unenrolled pension forfeits employer contributions that may never be recovered. The lower rate savings account costs real interest income every month it sits there. These are not dramatic. They are not one-time losses. They are recurring, compounding costs attached to tasks that never felt urgent enough to prioritize. The fix is a monthly financial admin block. 30 minutes, one Sunday a month. You go through one financial task from a running list, just one. Cancel the thing. Compare the renewal. Query the charge. Move the savings. One task per month means 12 financial improvements per year. Quiet, unglamorous, and collectively worth more over time than almost any investment decision you will make. Let me put rough numbers on what these 5 habits cost Leo over a single year. Financial avoidance. He missed an overdraft fee trigger for 3 months before he noticed. Cost: $90 in fees, plus the anxiety of not knowing. Comparison spending. Conservative estimate of 4 purchases per month, influenced by social comparison, averaging $35 each. Annual cost: approximately $1,680 spent on things chosen for an audience rather than genuine need. Mental accounting. His $1,200 tax refund was treated as found money and spent within 3 weeks on things he would not have bought from his salary. Opportunity cost, if invested at 8% over 10 years, approximately $2,590. Financial chaos identity. He declined a side project this year because he is not good with money and did not think he could manage the invoicing and tax implications. Estimated income missed, $800. Postponement paralysis. One uncancelled subscription, $18 per month. One insurance renewal not compared, $280 overpayment. One savings account still on the low rate product, $1,900 at 1.2% instead of 4.8%. Difference of approximately $68 in interest. Total approximate annual cost of 5 quiet habits, roughly $5,500. Not from a single bad decision, from 5 ordinary habits that felt completely harmless while they were happening. 5 habits, 5 fixes, all of them simple. Weekly money date, 10 minutes every week, same day, look at the numbers without judgment. 24-hour rule, any non-essential purchase above your threshold waits 1 day before you decide. One money system for all money. Every dollar, regardless of source, goes through the same priorities before it goes anywhere else. Change the language. Not bad with money. Currently building better habits. Small shift. Enormous implication. Monthly financial admin block. 30 minutes. One Sunday a month. One task from a running list. None of these require more income. None of them require financial expertise. They require 30 minutes a week and the willingness to stop treating these habits as personality. Here is what I want you to sit with. The biggest financial improvements most people make are not dramatic. They do not come from finding a better investment or getting a better job or finally having enough money to do things properly. They come from removing the quiet friction that has been draining progress for years without being noticed. Leo does not need a new income stream. He needs to open the app on the bad weeks. He needs the 24-hour rule before the comparison purchase. He needs 30 minutes on a Sunday once a month to handle the admin that has been sitting on his list since February. These are not financial strategies. They are behavioral shifts, and they cost nothing except the willingness to look honestly at what has quietly been running in the background and decide that just because something has always been a habit does not mean it always has to be. You are not behind because you have not found the right investment. You are not behind because your income is not high enough. In most cases, you are behind because 5 small habits have been running on autopilot in the background of your financial life, draining progress so quietly you mistook the leak for just the way things are. None of the 5 habits we covered today are dramatic. None of them will appear on a list of catastrophic financial mistakes. But all 5 are happening right now in the financial lives of millions of people who wonder why, despite working hard, despite wanting better, despite knowing what they should be doing, the progress just never seems to come. Now you know why. And more importantly, you know the 5 small things that stop it. Open the app this week, even when the number is uncomfortable. Wait 24 hours before the next comparison purchase. Put the next windfall through the same system as your salary. Retire the story that this is just who you are with money. And set a 30-minute Sunday block this month for the financial admin that has been sitting on your list. Not all 5 at once if that is too much. Pick the one that hurt to recognize. Start there. Because the habits that quietly destroy financial progress are the same habits that, once noticed, can be quietly replaced with ones that build it instead. Drop a comment and tell me, which of these 5 hit closest to home? The avoidance, the comparison spending, the mental accounting, the identity label, or the admin pile that keeps growing? Tell me honestly, because naming it out loud is the first step to changing it. And I read every single comment. If this video describes someone you know or someone you have been quietly being, share it, not as a critique, as the kind of thing a good friend sends when they think it might help. Subscribe to Nuella Invests. Every week we talk about the financial behaviors nobody puts on a list, but everyone recognizes when they finally see them. See you in the next one.